Welcome to my channel, The World of Science Fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Jason's mind was reeling. The first champion, the legendary warrior who had vanished during the final battle against the Voidborn, wasn't dead. He was here, and he had just spoken directly to Jason. The words still echoed through Jason's head like a bell tolling through space. Seyna stepped forward, her voice tightly controlled.
First champion, how you were lost.
The figure slowly rose to his full height, easily 8 feet tall, his black armor gleaming with pulsing blue energy. His movements were deliberate, like someone relearning how to stand.
I was not lost, I was sealed, to prevent what I had become from escaping.
You've been corrupted.
The champion turned his glowing eyes on him.
I fought the first of the Voidborn. I killed him, but in doing so I was changed. Not entirely theirs, but no longer entirely Orc either.
Rorario spoke from the shadows.
You are the bridge.
Yes, I am the wound between two worlds.
Naomi was frantically scanning him from behind a nearby pillar.
Jason, I'm detecting massive Voidborn resonance from him, but it's stable. Like it's contained.
Jason stepped forward.
Why were you waiting for me?
Because the Voidborn seek you, and they will not stop, not until you understand why.
Alex raised a brow.
And you know the reason.
The champion turned to her, his glowing gaze too calm.
Not yet, but I can show him.
Show me what?
The champion raised a massive hand, then touched Jason's chest. Jason's world exploded in light. Visions, memories not his own, flooded his mind. He saw the original war, planets burning, the Orc legions falling one by one. He saw the first of the Voidborn, its form shifting through reality, consuming life, turning warriors into monsters. And then he saw himself, but it wasn't him, it was someone else. A man who looked exactly like him, fighting alongside the champion, side by side in the final moments of the war. Jason gasped, staggering back as the visions faded.
What was that?
A piece of your origin.
Jason blinked, struggling to breathe.
Really, that on my vision was me.
No, that was your predecessor, the one who bore the mark before you, and now it is your turn.
Before anyone could respond, the ground shook violently. A deep rumble echoed from above. Naomi's voice crackled in Jason's earpiece.
We've got incoming. A Union ship just dropped into orbit, and it's not alone.
We need to leave now.
Jason turned toward the crumbling steps of the tomb, urgency burning in his chest. The first champion remained still, his eyes glowing with that unnatural golden blue light, half Orc, half Voidborn.
You are coming with us.
I cannot.
You just woke up from a 1,000-year nap and gave me psychic flashbacks. You're coming.
Seyna looked at Jason like he had lost his mind.
He is not a weapon to be wielded.
We're not going to survive what's coming unless we understand it. And he's the only one who's seen the enemy and lived.
There was a heavy silence. Then finally the champion spoke.
If I leave this place, the Voidborn will know.
They already know.
The champion studied him for a long moment. Then, with a metallic creak, he stepped off the platform and followed them. Above, the ruins trembled as the wind shifted, this time not natural but the low rumble of descending ships. Naomi's voice buzzed in Jason's ear again.
2 Union cruisers, heavily armed. They're deploying dropships. Jason, they're scanning for us.
Why would the Union send ships here?
Alex asked as they moved fast through the broken tunnels back to the surface.
Because they fear what you found.
They fear the Orcs still remember truths they buried.
As they emerged into the surface, the sky above the red expanse was alive with movement. Sleek, steel-gray Union ships loomed over the ruins, their engines humming with power. Dropships descended like iron hawks, touching down in sharp bursts of light and wind. Jason and the crew moved fast across the sand, heading back toward the skiff.
We won't outrun them. Not with a weaponized ghost following us and a half-broken ship.
Blaster fire erupted in the distance. Union soldiers had touched down and were already moving through the ruins, and they were not asking questions. Jason activated his comms.
Bobby, power the ship ready to fly.
Already on it, but you've got about 5 minutes before we're in the sky or a pile of scrap.
There's a hidden canyon route behind the ridge. We can use it to bypass the patrols.
Then that's our path.
As they moved, the first champion paused briefly, looking back toward the ruins. Jason called out to him.
Are you still with us?
For now, but the past does not sleep forever.
Jason didn't like the sound of that. They reached the skiff just as the first Union dropship swept low overhead, blasters charged. Alex returned fire, forcing it to veer off.
We've got company.
Jason grabbed the controls and slammed the accelerator. The skiff roared to life, kicking up clouds of red dust as it raced toward the hidden canyon route. The chase was on. And above them, orbiting in silence, the Union ships watched waiting. The skiff tore through the narrow canyon, its anti-grav thrusters screaming as Jason pushed it to the limits. Winds howled between jagged cliffs, sand and stone battering the hull like a storm of razors. Behind them, Union dropships pursued, their spotlights piercing the darkness of the gorge. Jason's grip tightened on the controls.
We need to lose them before they get a lock.
Alex climbed up to the mounted cannon at the back, already laying down suppressive fire.
I'll slow them down, you just don't crash.
Seyna stood near the rear rail, sword in hand, watching the Union ships with sharp eyes. Her presence was steady, fierce, a silent promise that if they were caught, it wouldn't be without a fight. Naomi's voice crackled from the control panel.
I've hacked the skiff's terrain scanners. We've got a sharp drop coming in 30 seconds. If we're gonna jump, now's the time.
Jason glanced at the display. A cliff drop-off loomed ahead, the chasm wide enough to swallow the skiff if they missed the angle.
Everyone hold on.
He adjusted the vector thrusters and gunned the engine. The skiff rocketed forward, closing the gap fast. Behind them, the Union ships narrowed in, firing shots that exploded into the rock walls, sending debris raining around them. The edge came fast, too fast. Jason activated the skiff's boosters, the engine core whining under the strain. Then they launched. The skiff soared off the cliff, momentarily suspended over a vast ravine, then dropped like a stone. Everyone braced as the skiff slammed onto the other side, anti-grav buffers flaring. Metal groaned, the suspension shrieked, but they made it. Jason let out a breath.
Still in one piece.
The Union ships didn't follow. They hovered on the far edge, hesitating, then slowly pulled away. Jason narrowed his eyes.
That was too easy.
Seyna agreed.
They let us go.
Jason turned to the champion, who had remained perfectly still during the entire escape.
Why would they let us go?
Because they do not fear your escape, they fear what you now carry. You are not just hunted by the Voidborn anymore. The Union fears you too.
A heavy silence followed. Naomi's voice broke through the quiet.
The ship's ready, coordinates set for a high-atmosphere jump. But Jason, we need to talk. That scan of the champion, he's not just merged with Voidborn energy.
Jason waited. Naomi's next words hit like a thunderclap.
He's connected to the ship, to the Omen.
What do you mean connected?
I think he's part of the reason the ship's still alive, and part of why it's changing.
Jason turned to the champion.
What are you?
The warrior didn't answer, but his silence said everything. They were carrying more than a passenger. They were carrying a living relic, a weapon, a key, and the galaxy had just realized it. Jason stood in the ship's central hub, staring at the pulsating core of the starship Omen. The room was bathed in flickering light, a mix of Orc blue and Voidborn gold. The core hadn't looked like this before. It was changing. The others stood in a semicircle around the champion, who had taken a place near the ship's central systems like he belonged there. Seyna's voice was barely a whisper.
The power that sustained him for centuries, it's the same energy that's affecting your ship.
Naomi, pacing nearby, pulled up holographic schematics.
The Omen's AI is still functional, but it's no longer entirely ours. There's a foreign neural matrix embedded in it now.
Foreign as in?
As in, partially alive. A construct built from Orc tech, but shaped by Voidborn influence. It's evolving.
Can we still control it?
For now, but it's listening, reacting to him.
They all turned to the champion, who stood motionless, as if in silent communion with the ship. Jason stepped forward.
You said they would come for me, that I carry something.
You carry memory, echoes of a war long buried. You were chosen not by blood but by fate. You are a vessel for what was lost.
And what exactly did I lose?
The champion raised one hand and the core pulsed violently. A holographic projection burst from the floor, showing a massive star map, dozens of systems, planets marked with ancient symbols. Jason stepped closer.
These systems are the Union space.
Not all of them, not originally. They were Orc before the betrayal. The Union did not defeat the Voidborn. They buried the truth and us with it.
They covered up the war.
They erased it, and now as the Voidborn rise again, the Union will do anything to keep their secrets buried.
That's why they were scanning us, why they followed us. They know we've seen too much.
Jason stared at the star map. It wasn't just about stopping the Voidborn, it was about uncovering a lie that spanned centuries. Alex folded her arms.
So what's the plan? We take this to the Union, expose them.
If we do that, we're dead before we dock. We go to the outer sectors, find the old war stations, we gather the truth piece by piece, and then
He looked back at the champion.
we show the galaxy what really happened.
The ship hummed beneath them, almost in agreement. The Omen was awake, and so was Jason. The starship Omen rose through the atmosphere, leaving the scorched sands of the Orc world behind. Its engines pulsed with strange new life, half machine, half something else. In the cockpit, Jason watched the sky turn from crimson to black, the stars stretching out across the void like a challenge waiting to be answered. Behind him, the bridge was a quiet flurry of motion. Naomi monitored the core systems, her expression tight with focus. Alex stood at the weapons terminal, silent but ready. Mark spun slowly in the co-pilot's seat, one boot kicked up, trying to pretend he wasn't worried. Seyna stood near the viewport, arms crossed.
We shouldn't have left the surface so quickly. There were still records buried beneath Kairos.
We didn't have a choice. The Union would have destroyed us, or worse.
So what now, human?
We find the truth every last piece.
The champion stepped onto the bridge, silent as ever. His presence sent a pulse through the ship and the lights dimmed slightly, reacting to him. Naomi looked up.
He's syncing with the ship's AI again.
Is that good or bad?
The champion's voice filled the room.
This is necessary. There are beacons scattered across the outer systems, remnants of Orc tech from the First War, memory vaults, keys to the truth.
And I'm guessing the Union knows about them.
They've already begun purging them.
Then we're already behind.
Naomi's console lit up.
I've got a signal. One of the vaults just came online. Unstable energy surge in Sector 9 Gamma.
Plot a course, get us there.
The Omen surged forward, stars blurring past. As they entered warp, Jason stared at the swirling lights and thought about the man he'd seen in the champion's vision, the man who looked like him. His predecessor, a memory encoded into blood. He didn't know who he really was yet, but he was going to find out, because this wasn't just a mission anymore. It was a reckoning, and someone out there had a lot to answer for.